Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The city of Neo-Tursis buzzed with the hum of hover vehicles gliding through the skies, their sleek bodies reflecting a kaleidoscope of neon lights. Towering skyscrapers jutted into the atmosphere, layered with advertisements for the latest technology, fashion, and, of course, the beloved stress relief alien girls. While most citizens moved through their day with the reassuring knowledge that a beautiful alien companion would soon be by their side, Caleb Armitage stared blankly at the digital screen in front of him, his thoughts drifting elsewhere. Born into this advanced society, Caleb had always been a dutiful citizen, fulfilling his role within the bustling metropolis. But the last few months had left him feeling worn and detached. After losing his job at a high-tech company, the overwhelming pressure of existence had begun to weigh heavily on him. Stress relief alien girls were issued to alleviate such burdens, allowing citizens like Caleb a reprieve from the relentless pace of life. Yet, he felt uneasy about this government program, wondering if a creature designed for comfort could truly provide relief in a world that felt increasingly mechanical. With a sigh, he ran a hand through his disheveled hair, contemplating his forced companionship. As the clock neared 3, he noticed the sleek, silver delivery unit approaching his apartment complex. The moment the door hissed open, he felt a rush of anticipation mingled with apprehension. Was he ready to face this alien girl, a mere tool meant to ease his pain? Would he be able to connect with her on a greater level? And then she appeared. Stepping out of the pod was a sight to behold. The alien girl had teal-blue skin that shimmered in the artificial light, her hair cascading in iridescent waves down her back. Large, expressive eyes, the color of vibrant amethysts, seemed to pierce through Caleb's very essence, stirring feelings he had long buried. She wore a simple outfit, a form-fitting garment that hugged her figure, detailed with geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with energy. "Greetings, Caleb Armitage." Her voice was soft yet resonant, a melody that lured him into her presence. "I am Alara, your assigned stress relief companion." Caleb swallowed hard, unsure how to proceed. He had imagined this moment countless times, yet the reality was far more daunting. "Hi. Nice to meet you," he stammered, trying to offer a half-hearted smile. Alara's eyebrows knitted together with curiosity. "Your expression suggests discomfort. Is there something wrong?" "No, I'm fine. Just a little surprised, I guess," he replied, mentally berating himself for not appearing more composed. "I didn't expect you to be humanized," she interjected gently, her expression unchanging. "Yes, I understand humans often see us as solely functional. However, I must clarify my purpose while you reassess your feelings." Caleb blinked, the words hanging in the air like a weight. She didn't seem like a tool to him. She felt vibrant and aware, as if she possessed a life beyond the one prescribed for her. "What do you mean?" "I am here to help alleviate your stress. However, I am not merely a servant who exists to fulfill your desires." She took a step forward, her grace captivating. "I have my own needs and autonomy. I will not undress for you, nor will I allow myself to be reduced to a means of mere relief." The confidence in her voice jolted Caleb. He had expected compliance, acceptance. Yet, Alara stood firm, her fiery spirit evident. The tension began to shift. No longer was he her owner, but a peer navigating an unfamiliar landscape with a being he could not predict. "I can respect that," Caleb finally said, a mix of surprise and admiration washing over him. "But, if we want to coexist, how do we find common ground?" Alara broke into a smile, and for the first time, Caleb felt a twinge of his buried excitement. Perhaps there was potential here, a new chance to escape the stifling expectations of the world around them. "Let us start with understanding each other," she replied. "What brings you stress, Caleb Armitage?" As the conversation unfolded, Caleb realized that he was not simply meeting an alien. He was forming a connection with a sentient being, someone who might just hold the key to revive his stagnant life. And for the first time in a long while, Caleb began to feel something shift within him. Days rolled into weeks as Caleb and Alara navigated their unique arrangement. Living together in his modest apartment, Their relationship evolved from mere companions into something richer and more complex. During their late-night discussions, sitting on the couch with a holographic viewer projecting alien films, Caleb found solace in Alara's insights. She brought a fresh perspective on life, illuminating corners of his heart that he had long deemed dark and unworthy. In many ways, Alara was unlike anyone he'd ever met. With her knowledge of intergalactic philosophies and a history steeped in the struggles of her own planet, she challenged him intellectually and emotionally. They talked about the nature of existence, the paradox of love versus control, and the agony of expectation. Where others may have viewed her merely as a creature designed for pleasure, Caleb saw a fellow traveler seeking to carve her path amid the chaos of their worlds. One day, as Caleb returned from a grocery run, he found Alara sitting by the window, her gaze trained on the horizon, lost in thought. Sunlight caught the facets of her skin, manifesting a breathtaking shimmer. The sight stirred something deep within him, a longing bypassing the physical, a desire for true connection. "Alara," he ventured, cautiously stepping into her space and breaking her reverie. "What's on your mind?" She looked at him, a mixture of vulnerability and strength dancing in her eyes. "I was contemplating the idea of identity, who we are in relation to others and to ourselves. I am often viewed as an object, a mere machine for pleasure, but I want to be known for more." Caleb nodded earnestly. "I get that. Society often boxes us in, defining us based on expectations instead of who we truly are. I've felt that pressure all my life." "Then let us redefine ourselves together," Alara proposed, her voice bold and hopeful. "I wish to understand your world, your joys, and your pains, but I also seek to share mine. You are more than your struggles, Caleb, and I want to connect with you, but we must do so honestly." There was something electrifying about her conviction, and Caleb felt that familiar tinge of excitement urging him to dig deeper, to explore territories within himself he had kept locked for far too long. How do we do that? Let us make space to share our vulnerabilities, to break down the barriers that society has erected around us. "Show me your world," she said, her eyes gleaming with determination. "Let's explore outside these four walls." Caleb felt a shift in his heart. The concept of exploring with Alara ignited a spark. "What do you have in mind?" "Every weekend, we shall venture into the city, in public, among humans. We will interact, observe, and challenge perceptions. It is essential that we break down these illusions. Do you not agree?" The idea felt thrilling yet terrifying. Interacting in public. Caleb pondered. "People might look at us differently." "Then let them look," she replied, her conviction unwavering. "I want to experience life fully, and that means breaking barriers." Caleb's initial hesitation blossomed into courage. The thought of their intertwined paths illuminated a sense of purpose he hadn't felt before. He nodded, his heart racing with excitement. "This weekend, then. I'll show you places I love," he said. As the weekend approached, Caleb carefully planned their outing, eager yet anxious. He decided to take Alara to a park renowned for its breathtaking views of the city skyline, a place where he'd often escaped to ponder the complexities of life. Now he would experience it with someone who could reshape its meaning. On the appointed day, they set out with a nervous anticipation hanging in the air. Caleb wrapped a light jacket around Alara, who donned her shimmering attire, a radiant figure among the mundane crowds of the city. As they walked through bustling streets, their differences attracted a mix of intrigue and judgment. "Look at those two," a passerby whispered, casting an incredulous glance in their direction. Alara remained unperturbed, a sense of pride emanating from her as she held her head high. In that moment, Caleb realized the strength of her conviction. While he once may have felt embarrassed or hesitant to confront societal judgment, standing next to her filled him with an unexpected sense of bravery. Perhaps their defiance in that moment could redefine what it meant to exist alongside each other, a statement against the conventional expectations of their worlds. As they approached the park, its lush greenery enveloped them. The sounds of laughter and joy filled the air, a vibrant contrast to the snarling stress of city life. They found a quiet spot under a sprawling tree, the branches beckoning them into the cool shade. "See, isn't it beautiful?" Caleb remarked, gesturing to the stunning skyline that peeked through the leaves, a blend of human ambition and wild nature. It is breathtaking, Ilara whispered, awash in wonder. Your world holds its own charm, Caleb. I am grateful to experience it. As they settled down in the grass, Caleb's heart raced with excitement and nerves. It felt surreal. With each passing moment, the space between them shrank. Their laughter echoed through the air, mingling with the rustling leaves, creating a cocoon of intimacy amid the uncertainties of the outside world. They were more than assigned companions now. They were explorers of the unknown, hearts intertwined. As twilight approached and the sun dipped beneath the horizon, Caleb turned to Ilara, his gaze earnest. So, what next? A mischievous smile graced her lips as she leaned closer. Next, we continue dismantling the walls that confine us. There are many places left unexplored, feelings yet uncovered. His heart swelled at the prospect, knowing that this was just the beginning. Together, they would shatter the expectations thrust upon them, writing their own narrative through connection and understanding. And so, under the twilight sky, Caleb embraced the uncharted territories of their shared experience, ready to sail beyond the boundaries of their isolated worlds. The following weeks were charged with a sense of discovery. Caleb and Ilara embarked on various adventures, exploring markets bustling with energy, attending galas intended to showcase interspecies connections, and sharing honest conversations late into the night. Each encounter chipped away at the walls surrounding their emotional landscapes, creating a vibrant tapestry of shared experiences. One afternoon, after a long day at a vibrant street festival, they returned to their apartment, laughter bubbling between them. Caleb documented their escapades, snapping pictures of Ilara nestled among colorful stalls, her smile radiant against vibrant displays of alien-influenced crafts. It was exhilarating. Other citizens began to notice him, observe his defiance in flaunting a relatable bond with an alien. Nestled on the couch, Caleb thumbs through his holographic viewer, sifting through images capturing snippets of their time together. There was one image, though, that seemed to haunt him. Ilara standing by a street artist who painted vibrational portraits. At first glance, she appeared content, but upon closer inspection, Caleb sensed a hint of melancholy in her eyes, one that spoke to a narrative they had yet to confront. "Hey, Ilara," he called, placing the viewer aside. "Can we talk about that festival? There was something in your expression." She looked up from her spot at the table, her aqua skin glowing in the dim light. "What do you perceive, Caleb?" "It was just, I could feel you weren't entirely present. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but you seemed distant," he replied, concern lacing his words. Ilara paused, her gaze thoughtful. "I appreciate your observation. It is true, I momentarily reflected on my identity during that festival. An intersection between human and alien is complex. It awakens insecurities I am still learning to navigate." Caleb leaned in, his heart racing. "You can share that with me. I want to understand everything about you, every shadow and revelation. This journey is ours, and it's important that we are authentic with each other." "Very well," she said, her expression shifting. The festival showcased the beauty of human culture, yet it also reminded me of how my existence is often viewed. I am designed for comfort, my value often ascribed to the notion of connection without depth. There are moments when that belief becomes suffocating. I wonder if humans can see me for who I truly am beyond that limitation. Caleb felt a pang in his chest. The vulnerability in her voice resonated deeply, a mirror reflecting his own buried uncertainties. "I get that, Ilara. I've always felt anticipated to be something I'm not, a cog in a machine. Navigating expectations can be exhausting, but you are so much more than what society sees." As he spoke, something ignited within him, a resolve to validate Ilara's feelings. "Let's break down those walls together. No one should restrict us to labels." Her eyes lit up, a mix of hope and admiration illuminating her face. "How can we commence this new phase?" "I'd like to introduce you to some of my closest friends," he suggested, and immediately he felt a mix of excitement and fear. "They're open-minded and will help create a space where you can be seen as you are. Together, we can challenge perceptions within my circle." Ilara smiled, her expression radiant with encouragement. I would love to meet them. As the weekend approached, Caleb felt a swirl of anxiety and anticipation knotting in his stomach. Would his friends embrace Alara? Would they allow her to stand outside the parameters of whom they believed her to be? Could he balance the curiosity of acceptance with the raw bond they had fostered? On the day of the gathering, Caleb prepared with a royal fervor. He cleared the apartment of clutter, set the atmosphere with ambient lights, and handpicked snacks that catered to both human and alien tastes. When the doorbell rang and the chatter of his friends drifted through the hallway, a swell of warmth coursed through him. As he opened the door, welcoming his friends inside, he caught sight of Alara standing to the side, her eyes wide, taking in the rush of movement within the apartment. Her presence was commanding and delicate, a paradoxical elegance that drew the attention of the group. "Everyone," Caleb said, trying to gather his composure, "I want you to meet Alara. And I need you to appreciate this, she's my stress relief companion." The room fell silent for a heartbeat. A mix of surprise and intrigue washed over their faces. Alara chimed, her voice a melodic invitation. "I am excited to meet you all." As the introductions began, Caleb watched closely, gauging his friends' reactions. Ellie, vibrant blonde with infectious laughter, stepped forward first. "Welcome, Alara. It's amazing to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you." Caleb breathed a sigh of relief, the atmosphere thawing as a cascade of welcoming smiles surrounded Alara. They began exchanging quirky stories about mundane life, hair-raising adventures, and fantastical dreams, allowing the conversation to flow freely. Halfway through the evening, Caleb noticed some of his friends sharing fascinated glances with Alara, entranced by her tales of alien life and the traditions of her people. The conversation shifted into deeper territory, exploring perspectives on love, identity, and existence. With each passing moment, a sense of camaraderie enveloped them, transcending earthly barriers that once loomed perilously large. Then, as laughter filled the air, Caleb caught a moment where Alara's gaze turned wistful. She glanced at him and back at the group, her brow furrowing slightly. It was a fleeting expression, one that communicated 1,000 unspoken thoughts, and Caleb felt instinctively compelled to address it. "Alara, you mentioned before that you often feel like a tool. How do you feel about being here with us right now?" he asked gently. There was a momentary hush as all eyes turned to her, waiting for her response. Caleb's breath caught in his throat. He hoped he hadn't soured the atmosphere he worked so hard to create. "I feel truly content," she said finally, her voice steady. "This connection is new to me and feels like a departure from the expectations I was raised to embrace, to interact as equals, to engage in dialogue that challenges perceptions. This evening is changing my view of what it means to coexist." The room erupted in warm applause, a blend of support and genuine admiration. Caleb felt his heart swell with pride. Theirs was not merely an arrangement birthed from necessity, but something more profound. As the night wore on, laughter broke every tension that remained. They shared stories, engaged in playful competitions, and marveled at the unforeseen connections that blossomed among them, each moment intricately weaving a stronger bond than any government assignment could ever foster. As they basked in the glow of growing friendships, Caleb took Alara's hand, an unspoken acknowledgement passing between them. Their vulnerabilities intertwined, transmuting into a beautiful exploration of what it meant to defy expectations along the winding path of life. And with every laugh, Caleb recognized that he and Alara were embarking on a shared journey, each step resonating with the possibility of transcending their societal limitations. The boundaries seemed to dissolve as they ventured into deeper realms together, fully embracing their shared experience. Neither a mere human nor a stress relief alien, but two souls charting their own destiny. In the weeks following the gathering, Caleb and Alara found themselves enveloped in a whirlwind of new experiences. Their bond deepened with every adventure, a tapestry of joy woven around shared moments. Yet beneath the surface of their growing connection, the echoes of past doubts lingered, creeping into Caleb's mind. As autumn settled over Neo-Tursis, the days grew shorter, and the world around them began to transform. With amber leaves swirling through the streets and a slice of chill settling into the air, Caleb felt a sense of unease mixing with the changing seasons. Encounters with Alara shifted from exhilarating to introspective as old insecurities resurfaced. What if their love was muddied by societal expectations? What if, deep down, she was still only a reflection of his unfulfilled desires? One evening, while working on a holographic project late into the night, Caleb noticed Alara sitting quietly in the corner, her gaze distant. He paused, sensing her mood shifting. For the first time, she seemed less radiant, her usual spark muted under the weight of unspoken fears. "Alara, what's on your mind?" he asked, carefully setting aside his work. She took a deep breath, her iridescent hair shimmering softly as she spoke. "I have been reflecting on our choices, Caleb. The bond we share transcends the confines of expectation, but sometimes I wonder, do you feel confined by societal projections?" Caleb's heart raced. The question echoed his inner turmoil. "Sometimes, yes. I worry that my connection with you may never be perceived as genuine by those around us. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a living experiment, the human who trains, an alien designed for companionship." Alara gazed at him, her eyes wide with concern. "You believe I am but a tool?" "No, that's not at all," he hastily replied. "You've become so much more to me. I just fear what others might think. I fear how society perceives us." Alara's expression softened as she moved closer, her presence calming. "But what about our journey? Can we not define our relationship without the shackles of societal perception? We're not bound by the limits they place on us." Her fierce conviction began to ignite something within Caleb, an ember of courage fighting against the shadows of doubt looming over them. "Maybe you're right, but it's hard to ignore the whispers." "Then let us confront the whispers together. Let us stand side by side, unyielding in our truth," she urged, her voice strength incarnate. In that moment, it became apparent to Caleb that despite his anxious mind, Alara had bravely embraced discipline during their shared experiences. He felt ashamed of his insecurities, but also uplifted by her unwavering support. "I want to be brave," he admitted, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I want to navigate this world hand in hand with you, across boundaries, despite opinions, despite expectations." As the weeks rolled on, Caleb tried to embrace Alara's philosophy. They confided in one another about their fears and dreams, creating a safe space where both could be seen and heard. With each discussion, his doubts began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of purpose. They were both meant to rise above the prejudice that claimed authority over them. Inspired by their bond, Caleb proposed that they volunteer together at a local community center, where diverse citizens gathered to explore the wonders of interspecies connections. It felt like an opportunity to showcase their relationship while helping others who might share their struggles. On that first day, as they walked through the center's bustling entrance, Caleb felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Bright decorations adorned the room, and humans and aliens alike mingled, sharing laughter and ideas. There was vibrancy in the air, charged with hope and possibility. "We're helping people discover acceptance and connection," Alara remarked, her gaze dancing around the room, absorbing the positive atmosphere. The authenticity in her demeanor stirred Caleb's heart. They set up a booth offering insight into their experiences, a fusion of human and alien cultures, showcasing the beauty of their companionship. As visitors filtered through, engaging in conversations, Caleb found joy in sharing their story, introducing Alara as not merely a stress relief companion, but a being of depth and understanding. As the event progressed, they met a family grappling with the implications of societal expectations for their interspecies child. They talked about their experiences, commiserating over the struggles of acceptance, and by the end of the day, they were a circle of allies, united against the burdens often imposed by perception. When the event came to a close, Caleb and Alara stood hand in hand, an invisible warmth wrapping around them, a culmination of shared laughter, revelations, and connections forged. Despite the lingering shadows of reality, their resolve shone brighter than ever. "You see," Alara said brightly, glancing up at him, "this is who we are meant to be. We inspire others to see beyond the surface." A profound sense of purpose enveloped Caleb as he nodded. "You're right. It's not about how society perceives us. It's about what we choose to create in this world together. He took a deep breath, invigorated by their shared journey, gripping her hand tighter as they moved toward the exit. With each step they took, it felt like they left behind the shallow confines of self-doubt, where once fear had thrived. Now determination blossomed. But as they walked into the fading daylight, a flicker of trepidation still wafted through Caleb's heart, a lingering question. What would happen when they faced the broader world beyond the safe space they created? How far could their bond truly reach under the watchful eye of societal judgment? In that moment, he squeezed Alara's hand tighter, knowing that as long as they faced challenges together, they could overcome anything, mapping the uncharted territories that lay ahead. The following weeks continued to transform Caleb and Alara's lives in ways they had never anticipated. Their collaborative efforts at the community center led to a burgeoning friendship with a mix of different beings, both human and alien, who began to rally around them. It was exhilarating. What had once felt challenging now exuded a sense of possibility and hope. However, the burgeoning connections came with its own set of complications. As their reach extended beyond the confines of their small circle, they inevitably faced skepticism and hostility from those stuck in outdated mindsets. Segments of society were unprepared for a world in which human and alien could coexist harmoniously, stripped of prejudice. One fateful afternoon, Caleb strolled hand in hand with Alara down the vibrant promenade. They had just attended a cultural fair celebrating diversity, with exhilarating narratives of acceptance ringing in their ears. However, the joy was short-lived. As they passed a narrow alley, Caleb overheard a group of young men leaning against a wall, sneering at the sight of them together. "Look at that!" one of the men jeered, his disdain cutting through the air. "What a freak show! What does she even see in him?" Caleb felt the blood rush to his face, the flames of anger igniting as he turned to protectively shield Alara. "That's enough!" he shouted, fury filling his voice. "Calm down, it's just a joke." The leader sniggered, his derision infectious among his friends. "Don't you get that? She's not here for love. She's here because the government assigned her to you. Ain't that right, alien?" Alara had stiffened beside Caleb, her expression resolute but pained. "This isn't a joke," she said firmly, her vibrant eyes locking onto the leader. "Our relationship is built on respect, understanding, and shared experiences. You may dismiss me as a tool, but I am wholly more than that. I am a person with feelings." Surprised by her assertiveness, Caleb felt strength swell within him. She's right. If you'd open your minds even a fraction, you might see that love knows no boundaries, human or alien. The men exchanged unsure glances, laughter dying on their lips, their bravery faltering in the face of Alara's fierce defiance. But the leader hesitated, scoffing with a half-hearted attempt at bravado. "You think this is love? You two don't belong together." Caleb felt a surge of protectiveness, something primal awakening inside him. "We belong wherever we choose to be. It's our decision, not yours." His heart hammered in his chest as he took a step forward, defiance radiating from his very core. And then, something happened. An unexpected shift occurred. As Alara and Caleb stood united, Caleb glanced around to find others had gathered, residents of the promenade bearing witness to the exchange. Faces turned, some filled with support while others mirrored confusion. They were witnessing a confrontation that transcended the typical prejudices. "Those men are pathetic," called out a woman in the crowd, her eyes bright with indignation. "Leave them alone. It's 2025, for God's sake." As murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, a wave of solidarity washed over Caleb and Alara. He looked at her, and she returned his gaze, the weight of the world beginning to lift, just a fraction, as courage surged between them. Alara took a deep breath, stepping forward. "We cannot let hatred define us. Instead, let us empower love and acceptance. If we stand against prejudice together, we can foster change and help others see the beauty in diversity." With those words, a new energy blossomed as members of the crowd began to speak out. One by one, they shared their own experiences of prejudice, inviting others to stand against intolerance and celebrate the world they hoped to create, a world where love flourished in all its forms. As the crowd rallied around them, Caleb felt a tide of warmth envelop him. Ilara's words transformed the moment, no longer merely about them, but a collective challenge against ignorance and hate. The leader's bravado began to crumble under the pressure of evolving perspectives. "This isn't over," he snarled, stepping back, leaving behind a mingling of embarrassment and anger. Caleb could scarcely comprehend what had just happened. A shift, a moment of indomitable freedom awaited them beyond that encounter. With their fingers still intertwined, they stepped away from that narrow alley, filled with laughter, energy, and support. Each step felt buoyant, propelling them forward in untamed possibilities. Later that evening, as they strolled through a nearby park, the lingering adrenaline began to ebb, leaving a peaceful tranquility in its place. The warm glow of lights illuminated the leaves around them, casting a mesmerizing glow as they wandered. "You were incredible back there," Caleb said, his pulse steadying as he turned to Ilara, admiration flooding his voice. "You stood your ground so fiercely. It was inspiring." Ilara smiled, that enchanting light returning to her eyes. "It was easier knowing that you stood by my side. Facing that confrontation alone would have been daunting." Caleb shook his head, his expression earnest. "We're in this together. No matter what the world throws at us, we'll face it hand in hand. Do you realize how powerful we are?" She nodded, seeming to grasp the significance of the day. "Together, we can affirm our worth in ways that shatter expectations." As the night deepened, Caleb felt that a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. For the first time, he believed, truly believed, that their bond held the power to challenge perceptions and reshape the world around them. In that moment, with stars twinkling in the vast canvas overhead, they shared their first kiss. It wasn't a kiss born from lust or need. It was a declaration, an affirmation of their defiance against boundaries, a celebration of their intertwined destinies. Their lips met softly, but the warmth resonated with a passion that spoke to the myriad of complexities binding them. It was a promise, a commitment to protect, uplift, and navigate the uncharted territories that lay ahead. With each stolen breath, they affirmed that love could bloom in even the most hostile environments. Together, they would redefine their world and face whatever might come next, championing the beauty of connection in all its forms. In the days following that powerful encounter, the energy surrounding Caleb and Ilara shifted dramatically. News had spread of their confrontation, an inspiring tale of love transcending boundaries that sparked conversations in public forums and social circles. They had become unexpected voices of change, motivating others to explore the beauty of connections beyond societal limitations. Caleb found himself grappling with newfound attention. As people began to recognize him and Ilara in public, he felt a mixture of pride and anxiety. For the first time, he was being celebrated not just for who he was, but for the love he shared with Ilara. Yet, a part of him couldn't help but worry. What if the novelty wore off? What if skepticism returned to cloud their bright narrative? Ilara radiated confidence, her presence electrifying a room. Each day she interacted with more members of society, gently dismantling prejudiced views with grace and understanding. But behind her fierce demeanor, Caleb could sense a persistent shadow, a flicker of doubt that occasionally clouded her eyes when she thought no one was watching. He knew he must address it before it created a rift in the delicate bond they had forged. One afternoon, as they returned from a community event where they shared their story, Caleb turned to her, searching her gaze for answers. "Ilara, how do you feel about the reactions we've been receiving lately?" She paused, her expression contemplative, as her fingers entwined with his. "It's been refreshing to see acceptance budding in unexpected places," she replied. "However, there are moments when I remember others' negativity. It prickles at me like an unresolved wound, and I find myself wondering if they're right." Caleb halted mid-stride, a sense of urgency rushing through him. "What do you mean? You can't let their opinions dictate how we feel about each other." "I know," Ilara said quietly, her eyes searching for reassurance. "But remnants of my past echo in my thoughts, whispering that some sentiments might never change. I wonder if I can withstand the weight of prejudice forever." "No," Caleb protested, stepping closer, unable to contain the resolve in his voice. "You are not defined by what others say. You are a force of nature, and together, we can fight anything that comes at us." Her lips curled into a soft smile, but he could still see something unsettled beneath the surface. I appreciate your belief in me, Caleb, but it's a challenge maintaining that strength. He took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of their shared burden. We've built this relationship by exposing ourselves, our vulnerabilities and truths. But you know that faith in our bond must be reciprocated. Please let me in. Share those fears with me. Ilara looked at him, her confidence faltering for just a moment before giving a gentle nod. Sometimes I feel as if I am walking a tightrope. In public, I project strength, bolstered by your presence. But sometimes alone, I feel the weight of being both an ambassador for interplanetary love and an experiment, a data point in a government program. Her voice quivered slightly, a tide of emotion reflecting in her eyes. Caleb's heart ached at her confession. You are so much more than a data point. You are a person, an amazing person, and society has to realize that. We're not the anomaly, we're the future. She drew in a shaky breath, and Caleb took her hands firmly in his. We must challenge the remnants of doubt together, Ilara. Let's engage in an initiative that speaks of solidarity and love. We can hold workshops, broaden outreach to help others who may be struggling in silence. A flicker of excitement darted across Ilara's face, dispelling some of the shadows that lingered there. That could be an opportunity. Together, we can create a community that celebrates connection rather than fear difference. Exactly, Caleb beamed, feeling a rush of adrenaline course through him. Let's channel this energy into something right, a way to give people a safe space to share their feelings, struggles, and celebrate acceptance. With newfound determination, they began planning their initiative. They crafted engaging workshops and social gatherings that encouraged dialogue around support systems for interspecies relationships. Announcing their programs through their growing network, they invited people from various walks of life to join in the conversation. When the day of their first workshop arrived, the room buzzed with anticipation. The atmosphere was heavy with nervous energy, but both Caleb and Ilara sensed an undeniable excitement. They had allowed others a glimpse into their world, exposing vulnerability and strength for all to see. Caleb opened the discussion, his voice steady as he introduced their mission. Today, we explore the beauty of connections and how love knows no bounds, he said, gesturing to Ilara beside him. Ilara and I have witnessed both acceptance and prejudice in our lives. It's time to embrace the former and amplify our voices. As the workshop unfolded, they shared stories, some sweet, some painful, where people battled societal expectations. Ilara took the lead in discussing her experiences. The vulnerability in her voice resonated deeply, invoking empathy. The discussions blossomed, branching into explorations of identity, belonging, and love's transformative power. The warmth of shared experiences began to dissolve doubts among attendees. Faces once filled with uncertainty now radiated confidence and optimism. As stories weaved through the gathering, Caleb sensed a shift, not only in the room but within himself and Ilara as well. When they opened the floor for questions, one young woman stood up, her voice quivering slightly. How do you thrive in a world that often judges you? By confronting those judgments together, Ilara replied, unwavering, and by believing in the strength and authenticity of our love, despite the noise of negativity. The tears glimmering in the woman's eyes spoke volumes, a reflection of shared struggles against societal limitations. As the workshop continued, Caleb felt shivers run down his spine. They had ignited something powerful within each other and in the participants, an acknowledgement of love's intricacies, bonds transcending race and species. It felt like a collective awakening. By the end of the day, Caleb and Ilara stood before their now energized audience, a palpable sense of triumph swirling around them. They had planted seeds of acceptance and understanding, echoing their truth. No longer isolated citizens, but agents of change in a world ready for a new narrative. As they left the venue hand in hand, Caleb couldn't help but glance at Ilara, who was beaming with hope. We did that, he said, admiration surging within him. Together, we took steps toward forging a new path. You were incredible. Ilara chuckled, a lightness in her laughter that warmed his heart. And we will continue to build this path together. For everyone who feels alone, we will open doors, Their determination felt unbreakable. With every step forward, their commitment to each other ignited like a fire, illuminating their journey ahead. The whispers of doubt now replaced with powerful affirmations of love, empathy, and connection. As night fell over Neo-Tursis, they looked toward the twinkling stars, feeling the universe opening up before them. Hand in hand, they could face whatever came next, a promise whispered in the cosmic chorus of change. The warmth of the workshops continued to reverberate through the community, reaching distant corners of Neo-Tursis. Word spread about Caleb and Alara's transformative journey, a tale of love that defied societal norms and nurtured acceptance in remarkable ways. Their initiative had become a beacon of hope, fostering connections among citizens of various backgrounds who felt empowered to share their stories openly. In the months that followed, Alara flourished alongside Caleb, embodying her role not just as an alien companion, but as an advocate for love and understanding. They held frequent events, inviting beings from all walks of life to celebrate their individuality, each gathering amplifying voices that once felt silenced. And still, echoes of judgment lingered occasionally, rearing their heads in rumor and ridicule, but they had learned to meet those moments with resilience. Every encounter was reframed as an opportunity. Caleb and Alara stood firm, unwavering in their commitment to create a world that embraced rather than rejected, fostering understanding rather than division. One bright morning, as they strolled through a vibrant park, surrounded by people celebrating life, Caleb smiled at Alara, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Look at the impact we've made together. Every one of these individuals is part of our story now. Alara adjusted her vibrant scarf, the morning light illuminating the hues in her skin. It is a testament to our unwavering belief in love and unity, she replied, her voice a mix of joy and pride, and to the power of vulnerability. As they wandered hand in hand, they encountered families and friends embracing each other, laughter punctuating the air, and they felt an invisible thread connecting them to each person around. The day was more than just another moment. It was a celebration of lives intertwined, partners rising above the barriers that once confined their experiences. As twilight dipped into the horizon, their journey led them to a secluded hillside overlooking the city, an unspoken haven they'd claimed as their own. Here, Caleb took Alara's hand, drawing her closer as they settled upon the grass. "I've never felt so alive, so complete," Caleb confessed, glancing into her eyes. "We've created something powerful together, something that transcends our individual struggles." Alara's gaze sparkled with understanding. "And we will continue to fight for love's place in the world, together. Our connection has given us strength and courage. We're a part of something greater." In that serene moment, amidst the quiet whispers of the winds, they shared a kiss, a promise sealed beneath a canopy of stars. It was a reflection of every challenge they had faced, every choice that had brought them together. With their hearts intertwined and futures gleaming on the horizon, they embraced the shifting tides of their world, a partnership rooted in authenticity, passion, and profound love. As the night deepened, Caleb spoke softly. "No matter where life takes us, I know we will thrive. We are more than just examples of love. We are architects of change." Alara smiled wide, her heart full. "Together, we'll create legacies that will inspire generations to come. And in that pursuit, we will find joy, hope, and so much more." With laughter lingering in the air, they rose together, ready to face every adventure that awaited them, legacies of love they would build, hand in hand, forever rewriting the narrative of what was possible in a world that needed to remember. And so they walked into the dawn of a new era, a journey that had only